of the NFL Draft here at Commanders headquarters with David Harrison, Donna Hopkins, Pro Football Plus. Hey, David, we made it through day one, and it was no surprise who the Commanders were going to take. Could you talk a little bit about what Adam Peters talked about Daniels, and we heard from the owner today about that pick also. Day one, talk to me about, and we got to hear Daniels talk a little bit. Mature guy. The Commanders, I think, are getting a gold mine with him, and nothing means anything until he gets on the field, but it seems like he's got all the tools. What did you make from day one?
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously the pick, that's a player that a lot of us connected to the Washington Commanders for a while now, so it just made all the sense in the world, right? The explosiveness, the game-changing ability that he has, not just as a passer, but obviously also as an athlete. But I think when you then talk to Adam Peters, talk to Jaden on the Zoom last night, and then here today in Ashburn, and then you hear Dan Quinn, Josh Harris, they all talk about the person behind the skill set, right? So at the end of the day, like when you're getting drafted in the NFL, nobody in the NFL is unathletic. Nobody in the NFL is devoid of talent, right? Like some guys may be more or less athletic and all those things. But at the end of the day, like everybody here has the physical capabilities to do the job. The question is, do you have the mental capabilities? And part of that is processing on the field. But it's also how you carry yourself. It's how you prepare yourself. And that is something that's standing out when Adam Peters talks about him, Dan Quinn talks about him, Josh Harris talks about him. And then you even hear him himself say, nothing in my life has ever been given to me. I've earned everything. I'm going to earn everything here. And, yeah, it could be lip service. Yeah, it could just be the right thing to say. But some people, they say it and you're like, yeah, okay, dude, you don't really believe that. Other people say it and you believe him. Jaden is one of those guys that when he says that kind of thing, you believe that he actually means it.
Yeah, look, this is personal for me. I feel like we're on a mission for the city, for the DMV, and everyone's counting on us. And so, yeah, it's big. This is a big deal. So, I mean, obviously, I'm taking it really seriously. I'm devoting a lot of time to it, and thankfully, we have an amazing front office coaching staff that's come together. Now I was here for the veteran minicamp, and every single veteran showed up. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. These guys don't have to show up. I mean, you see, all of our players. You see Zach Ertz, Pro Bowl tight end. He doesn't have to be here, right? But they all came, and there's something really exciting going on here in D.C. and here in Virginia, and I think that, I'm glad to be a part of it. We're hoping we come out of this draft with, pretty much, uniformly people that are going to play and contribute. So I don't think that the work is done by any means, but as far as like the momentum and the excitement here and the excitement that I'm feeling at camp, and then all the change that's going on in a really positive way, feels really different. Last season was difficult for me to live through. It was difficult for all of us, the city, to live through. But, we ended up with the second pick, right? And that gave us the opportunity to select someone who has been elite and can be elite, right? So if we end up with an elite quarterback, if we, build around that person, this thing can get going in a big way. I mean, so I'm optimistic. I mean, obviously, we're going to have to do everything we can to build a system around him. Whether it's blocking, receiving, tight end, like we're going to have to build the capabilities around him, support, but I mean, we're off to a good start.
Anybody who had watched football could say this is a talented guy. So I'd say over the last 2 months when I found out, what was behind the ribcage, and this guy is tough, he is competitive. So I'd say the things that stuck out to me going to LSU and hearing about early meetings with people and all the extras that he wanted to do to become great, because when you're already playing at a really good level, to go to the next spot is not easy. And so I know how hard he worked for that, and I think probably he spoke about the Florida game, but more importantly, that showed a lot of resilience. He had gotten banged up in the game prior to that, and so not to have a full week of practice and to kind of go out and put on that type of performance, I think those were the two things that jumped out to me, the dedication and the resilience. And I think all of us would know at every position that's really important, but at quarterback probably as much as anything, because the tough times, the adversity is going to be there, and we'll be there standing shoulder to shoulder with him and give him all the support he needs. But this is a guy that is a rare competitor.
How did you prepare him
personally for this stage and what you all instilled in him as parents? What was the key factors that you want him to remember throughout this process?
I mean, I think with Jaden, it was always the thing of being mentally strong, emotionally and physically, knowing what he wants, and going after that, and then working hard to achieve that goal. And then that was instilled in him at a young age, and you don't think an 8-year-old is really getting that, but Jaden was a little exceptional in that. So you never really had to tell him I don't want to work out. He would. This is what you need to do. He'll do it. You need to follow, because a lot of people don't highlight that Jaden graduated early from high school. He finished his degree at ASU in 3 years, and then he's almost finished with his master's at LSU. So if you put a task out to Jaden, he'll complete it because he understands what he needs to do. And so that's translated over from just his personal life over into his professional life now as a football player, but even as a college football player. He understood that he has to work hard to achieve the things that he wants to succeed in life.
Are you surprised about his maturity?
No, not really. I mean, he's not like the oldest guy, in the NFL draft by any means, but he's traveled, right? He's been in the college game for 5 years. One year was obviously shortened, but he went through Arizona State. He's been through coordinator changes. He's been through a head coach, being fired, going to LSU, having to learn a new system, new language, new style of play, being challenged, right? There's a lot of stories going out there about LSU coaches. They brought him in after he transferred out of Arizona State, and they said, look, man, we love you. We brought you in for a reason, but we also want you to improve in these specific areas. And he wasn't someone that said, hey, like, you recruited me, you came after me, you love me for who I am. No, he said, okay, I understand that I still have room to grow. And he accepted those challenges at LSU, and ultimately it led to him being able to win a Heisman Trophy. So I think when he comes to the NFL, some of these questions about, hey, taking too many sacks, getting hit too much as you're a runner, things like that, he's going to take on those questions, those challenges from these coaches head on. And, I expect there to be some improvement there. I mean, at the end of the day, he's still a competitor, so some of that's going to show up. You know what I mean? You're going to see some of that. It's never going to go away completely, but I do think that this coaching staff has someone in their organization now who is going to listen, is going to take that coaching, understands that this is a business, that there's a model here. There's a strategy to surviving in the NFL, not just making it to the NFL.
Yeah. Jaden said that he wrote down at 7 years old that this was his goal, and his dad talked about there's never been a challenge he hasn't been given that he has not saw it through. Yeah. But as you move forward in day number 2, what are you looking, or what does the Commanders have to look to in the 5 picks that they still have left, being that offensive line has not been addressed yet, and that to me is a key. A lot of the offensive tackles have been taken and everything. A lot of the guards are still out there. Where do you see day 2? What's happening in your radar right there?
Yeah, you definitely need to address the offensive tackle position, right? But the key there is don't just take a tackle just to take a tackle, right? So number 36, if there's not a guy that you have graded within that range, don't just take him just to say, okay, we got a tackle, now we can check that off the list. That's not how you build a successful team. At the end of the day, you got to take the player that's best for your organization and best for what you need and is the most talented. So right now, when you look at the board, I think cornerback kind of stands out. There's a few really good cornerbacks.
And they need a cornerback.
And I definitely agree. I think they need some outside corners. I think they need to go out there, push Benjamin St. Juste, push Emmanuel Forbes, get some more talent on the field. You look at safety potential. Derek Forrest is a great talent, but where is he medically? They know that. I don't know that. So not knowing that, I kind of put that on the list. But then I think tight end stands out. Zach Ertz is obviously a well-known commodity, and he's going to help kind of be a coach in the locker room and on the field as well with his veteran status. But at the end of the day, Zach Ertz is not your long-term solution at tight end. So is John Bates. I don't think he's proven that yet. Cole Turner certainly hasn't been able to prove that yet. Armani Rogers is coming back from an Achilles injury. So I think you need to go out there and get another tight end, whether it's, I don't think it'll be number 36 or maybe even number 40, but definitely in the 3rd round. I think you need to look at that position. Then, of course, wide receiver, right? If you can go get yourself a potentially taller or someone that's just going to help you open up the field, give Javon Daniels more targets, more potential targets. I like a guy like Troy Franklin out of Oregon. He's a guy. TJ Tampa out of Iowa State is one of my favorite corners, not in the top group here today after Cooper DeJean and Kool-Aid McKinstry and those guys. But if they're not there, somewhere in day 2, maybe a guy like that.
Well, one thing's for sure, we've got 2 days left, and there's a lot of picks yet to be picked for this Commanders team. But you fans hopefully like the direction that this team is going in free agency. They already started putting the pieces together, and now with the draft to see how this all pans out. But we'll be back with David to give us more insight after the draft is over. But I know one thing's for sure. They better get an offensive lineman somewhere, somehow, because it doesn't matter about who is the quarterback if they don't have a good offensive line. Donna Hopkins, Pro Football Plus, out here at Commanders headquarters for the NFL Draft.